Hello and welcome back to What If Ash Was Like Paul. After beating Whitney, impressed, she would decide to give Ash a little gift. A moonstone, an item that she wanted to use to evolve her Clefairy, but after seeing what Ash's Nidorino could do, she decided to just give the moonstone for Ash to evolve it himself if he wanted to, and if Nidorino wanted that, she could just go to the local stone shop and buy another one. Nidorino, sensing the presence of an evolutionary item, would immediately jump out of its Pokeball on its own, grab the moonstone, and would touch it. It would be enveloped in a violet glow. In the glow, it would grow in size as it would become bipedal, and its arms would grow in length and muscle. As then, it would evolve into Nidoking. The Pokemon would look at Ash with mutual respect and would then grab the Pokeball and return inside of it itself. Ash would then look at the Pokeball, meanwhile walking out of Goldenrod Gym, thinking, my god, I've got myself one strong Pokemon now. Can't wait to see how strong this baby is. He would then go and do the bug catcher contest, which would go the same. It's just when Ash was giving Casey his Beedrill, he would make a snarky comment saying, well, it looks like you're a bit less weak than last time with your new Chikorita. Casey, clearly unnerved by this comment, would challenge Ash to a battle, a 2-on-2. She would use the newly attained Beedrill as Ash would use his Heracross. It would go for a poison jab, which would do decent damage, as then Heracross would respond with a horn attack. This would do a lot of damage to Beedrill, as it was fairly inexperienced and just a fresh catch. Beedrill would try go for Fury attacks and poison jabs, trying to hurt Heracross as much as it could, but the more experienced bug type would put it down with a Mega Horn. After that, she would send in her Bayleaf. Heracross would be able to get off a Mega Horn, which would do a lot of damage, and then Bayleaf would be able to respond to her Body Slam, which would paralyze Heracross. Heracross being unable to move would be finished off by a Razor Leaf. After that, Ash would send out his Croconaw, knowing that Croconaw would be able to beat Bayleaf. Casey would say, so you're not as smart as I thought you are. This would get under Ash's skin, as he would then decide to not hold anything back, as he would command for an Ice Punch. This would freeze Bayleaf, as it would be stuck in place. Ash, wanting to put Casey in her place, would then command for a full force Hydro Pump, which would blast the grass type starter back, knocking it out. Casey would be shocked, as then Ash would say, I thought you'd be stronger than last time. Guess I was wrong. Casey, with a look in her eye, something would change. She would decide that she was going to pursue the gym challenge seriously and beat Ash in the Silver League, the Silver Conference, and regain her honor. She would go up to Ash and say, that was a lucky win. Next time you won't be so lucky in the Silver Conference. I will beat you and show you that you are not the best. And I'll show you that I am amazing and that my baseball team is amazing, but Ash would say it still sucks. As then Casey would get angry and walk away with conviction, wanting to prove Ash wrong and beat him in the league. The events of this episode, Power Play, would go pretty much the same, but after, Gary would ask for a battle against Ash, as he would say that he's not going to lose to Ash this time, as he wants to show him who's boss. If you remember in the last battle Ash and Gary had, Ash creamed Gary, which taught him a lesson of humility, but Gary did not want to repeat. He wanted to get his honor back, and he wanted to beat Ash and show him that he's better than him. Ash would send out Houndoom, as then Gary would send out his Umbreon. Umbreon would use a feint attack, as then Houndoom would respond with a flame charge, which would raise its speed. After that, Umbreon would decide to go in for a quick attack. With astounding speed, it would charge in and would hit Houndoom, but Houndoom would respond with a flamethrower, which would do decent damage. This would go on for a long time, as the battles were very even, with crunches and flamethrowers and feint attacks and quick attacks being traded all over the battlefield. Gary, wanting to prove that he was better than Ash, would command for a feint attack full force, as then Ash would command for a flame charge full force. They would charge up their attacks and it would become like a red blur versus a dark black and brown blur. Both moves would collide until they would charge into each other. A massive clash would happen between the feint attack and flame charge, and then an explosion would happen. When the dust settled, both Pokemon were out, totally unable to move, both needing immediate medical attention. Ash and Gary would immediately rush to a Pokemon Center and would immediately get them healed. After that, they'll both come back to the area where they had battled, and they would say, and then Gary and Ash would meet in the middle, and Gary would say, "This time you got lucky. Next time we meet, I will cream you. I will not show any mercy towards you." Ash will say, "Good luck with that, Gary. Now that I've shown how weak you really are, you're so insecure and now you're trying to be better than me." We'll see how that plays out. As then, both trainers would leave. But right after the battle, Ash, getting into the woods, would decide to train his Pokemon. He would decide to put them through training and make them stronger. So the next time they run into Gary or somebody, or the next gym battle, they just cream the gym leader or any of his rivals. After that, the events of when they first met Morty would go the same, and then Ash would get into a gym battle. Ash would decide to use only Croconaw. This time, Ash would... What I mean by this is not like how Ash was stupid in the Unova region and only brought Palpito to the battle. He would of course bring more than one Pokemon to a 3-on-3. He's not that dumb in this timeline. But what I mean is that he would only have Croconaw's Pokeball ready, as would be very confident in it. Croconaw would then, with devastating speed, charge towards Ghastly with a crunch, knocking it out instantly, shocking Morty. Morty would then send out Haunter. Haunter would be able to land a Shadow Ball and a Shadow Claw on the powerful Water-type starter. But then, Croconaw would quickly regain its composure and use a hydro pump, which would do a lot of damage. Haunter would try use a shadow ball, which would easily be eaten up by Croconaur's crunch, as then it would jump and bite with the crunch, knocking out Haunter. Morty would then say, "This is where your luck ends, Ash." This would send out Gengar. Gengar would use Shadow Ball and Hypnosis. This would do decent damage and put Croconaur to sleep. But then, the sleeping Croc would awaken instantly, shocking Morty, as he would then use a Hydro Pump, which would blast Gengar back. Gengar would try recover with a Nightshade, but the powerhouse of a water type would charge through the move with a crunch and would crunch the ghost type Pokemon, knocking it out. This would shock Morty, as no battle of his, other than the battle that he had had with Gary, had been so one-sided. He'll then say, "Wow, you are quite strong. You're like that trainer with the Umbreon and the spiky hair who came in here like a few hours ago." Ash would then say, "You mean Gary?" And he would say, "Yeah, he was quite strong. But from what I saw today, you're slightly stronger." Ash would then be very proud, as he would smirk and he would say, "So that guy thinks he's going to be better than me. I'm going to prove him wrong later," and humiliate him in front of everybody, as he would smirk. He would then look at Croconaur and would congratulate it, as he would high-five it and say, "Well done, Croconaur. Next battle, we are going to beat everyone," as the crocodile Pokemon would smile at its trainer. Morty would then quickly hand Ash the badge and would say, "Wow, you are quite strong. I can't wait to see how you do in the Silver Conference." And Ash would say, "I will do amazing. Anyway, see you later," as Ash would leave the gym. Ash would then go to the Olivine City, where Jasmine would still be worried about her Ampharos, and Ash and the little girl, I forgot her name, would still go to Cyanwood City. They would retrieve the little girl would retrieve the medicine and return to Jasmine, as then Ash would go and challenge Chuck to a gym battle. Chuck would use his Poliwrath against Ash's Fearow. Fearow would use a Drill Peck, which would do a lot of damage, as then Poliwrath would respond with an Ice Punch. Fearow's wing would be injured and frozen, so it won't be able to use flying moves as effectively. Ash, realizing the scenario that Poliwrath had put him in, he would command for a Steel Wing, as the wings would harden into metal wings so fast, the ice would immediately fall off, which would shock Chuck, as no trainer had ever thought of that strategy coming into his battle with a flying type that's not Skarmory. Ash would then use the Steel Rings and would attack Poliwrath for decent damage. Poliwrath would then respond with a Hydro Pump, which would do a lot of damage back to Fearow. Fearow would then drill through Poliwrath's defenses and would hit true with a powerful Drill Peck, which would do a lot of damage to the water type. Poliwrath, on its last legs, would go through for an all-or-nothing powerful Hydro Pump attack, putting all of its last energy into it. But then Fearow would spin and twirl through the Hydro Pump with such velocity and speed and power, it would crash right into Poliwrath, knocking it out in a brutal fashion. Chuck would be shocked, as no trainer with a Firo had thought of such a strategy to win. Ash would compliment his flying type, saying it was quite strong and that it's an amazing Pokemon and he had trained it well. And then Ash would say, Firo, you've done your job, thank you, as he returned it, which would confuse Chuck. As then Ash would say, my Firo is tired. I can't weaken it or hurt it any further in a battle like this against such a skilled trainer like you. I need to use a different Pokemon. Chuck, a bit like surprised from the compliment, would say thank you. Smart move, and now, time to defeat you. Go Machoke, as then Ash would send out his Croconaw. Croconaw would stare down Machoke, as Machoke would do the same. Both Pokemon would stare down each other like their rivalry was meant to be. Croconaw would then come in with an Ice Punch, which would do decent damage, as then Machoke would respond with a Cross Chop, which would do decent damage back. Croconaw would then respond with a Hydro Pump, which would send Machoke back for a lot of damage, as then Machoke would respond with a critical hit Karate Chop, which would do a lot of damage back to Croconaw. Croconaw would then hit back with a Crunch, which wouldn't do much but would lower Machoke's defenses. Machoke would be taken back by this move, as it would then go for a Cross Chop. But since Cross Chop has like 80% accuracy, it would miss, as then Ash would slam it down with a powerful Hydro Pump. Machoke would get up, a bit frustrated, so would then come in and would go for a low kick, which would slam Croconaw down, as then it would try go for the knockout blow with a Karate Chop. But the Water type, seeing this coming from a mile away, would easily avoid the attack and would respond with a very quick Ice Punch to the face, which would do a lot of damage to the fighting type. Both Pokemon would be breathing heavily, as then they'd be angry and irritated, wanting to end the battle right now, as then both would begin to glow. Machoke would grow slightly in muscle mass, as then it would grow an extra pair of arms. It would get a bit taller, as then Croconaw would then grow taller and gain more muscle around its body, and its claws become very sharp, as its jaws would become bigger, as it would become much taller. As then both Pokemon will finish their evolutions into Feraligatr and Machamp respectively. Machamp would look at Feraligatr as Feraligatr would look back, both with a glare, ready to end the battle immediately. Feraligatr would charge forward with an Ice Punch, as then the fighting type, Machamp, would charge forward with a Cross Chop. Both moves would do equal damage to both Pokemon. After that, Feraligatr would respond with a powerful Hydro Pump, as then Machamp would take the hit, which would shock Ash that Machamp tanked such a powerful move. Machamp would then come forward with a Karate Chop, which would smash Feraligatr in the face, as then Feraligatr would quickly regather itself and would respond with a Crunch, which would send Machamp back. Both Pokemon would be tired, as then both trainers would call for the finishing move. Ash would call for an Ice Punch, as Chuck would call for a Karate Chop. Both moves would collide in the battlefield. Both Pokemon would be trying to push both attacks forward, trying to outlast the others. But then Feraligatr would roar, overpowering Machamp and sending it back, knocking it out. Feraligatr would roar in victory as Ash would commend it, saying, "Congrats on evolving, and well done for showing us strength in such an amazing way." I would high five Feraligatr. As then Chuck wouldn't be angry that he lost, as he had had a lot of fun in the battle. So he'd then come towards Ash and would give him his 5th gym badge, as he would say. "Well done. I think you should explore the Wild Islands next. They're quite nearby." Ash, being interested, would enter indoor Wild Islands and would enter the tournament. So the Wild Island saga would pretty much go the same, and then the tournament would happen. Ash, Feraligatr, and Kabutops would breeze through every opponent until they made it to Misty. Kabutops had been knocked out in an earlier battle and would currently be healing in the Pokemon Center, as Ash would go into the battle with early Feraligatr, still being very confident. Ash would use Feraligatr against Misty's Poliwhirl. Feraligatr would go up against Poliwhirl and would come in with a powerful crunch, which would do a lot of damage to the middle stage water type. As then Poliwhirl would try and respond with a Hydro Pump, which would barely do anything to the fully evolved water starter. So then come in and would use a powerful Ice Punch, which would send Poliwhirl back. Poliwhirl would try coming with a Double Slap, which Feraligatr would just let the move hit for a while. As then Feraligatr, getting irritated, would smash Poliwhirl back with a powerful Crunch attack, which would knock it out. Misty, being a bit shaken up that the battle was so one-sided, would then contemplate using one of her Pokemon. But then, coming out of the Pokeball on its own, her Golduck appeared and would look back at her, smiling, saying that it got it for her and that they were not going to lose. Misty would feel reassured, as then it would battle against Feraligatr. Feraligatr would come in with an Ice Punch, as then Golduck would come in with a Slash. Both moves would do equal damage to both Pokemon. Feraligatr would then come in with a Hydro Pump, which would do decent damage, as then Golduck would respond with its own Hydro Pump, which would also do decent damage. The trainers would decide to take the battle into a close range fight, as then Ash would come with an Ice Punch, as Misty would come with a Slash. Both moves would continue to clash and collide with each other, doing a lot of damage to both Pokemon. As then both Pokemon would skip back, tired and exhausted, but both enjoying the battle equally. Ash wanting to finish it, and Misty also wanting to finish it, would both call for a Hydro Pump. Both moves would collide in the battlefield, which would cause a massive explosion of water, which would wet the entire stadium and trainers alike, and would blow back both Pokemon. When the dust settled, Feraligatr would be taking one knee, barely standing, as then Golduck would be down. The announcer would crown Ash the winner of the match, but right after, Feraligatr would just faint. Misty would come and talk to Ash and would say, "Wow, I really enjoyed that battle." And Ash would say, "Wait, you look familiar. You look like those Cerulean City gym leaders." And then Misty, a bit flustered, wanting to avoid any mention of her and her sisters, who continuously tease her for being weak, which even caused her to start her adventure around the regions, She would then look embarrassed and say, "Well, I am their sister." And then Ash would remember that in the battle after he brutally beat them, yeah, he heard like Daisy murmuring. He reminds me of our little sister. I said he would say, "Oh, you must be like Misty, the ugly one." This would immediately turn on Misty. She would become so angry. She would say, "I'm not ugly. What's your problem?" As then Ash would say, "That's just what your sister said." As then Misty would say, "Good battle, by the way. Anyway, good luck in the next matches." As then Ash would say, "Good luck." As then Misty would say, "I'll see you in the Pokemon League." As then Ash would say, "Yeah." As then Ash would leave to advance to his next match. Feraligatr would need to go to the Pokemon Center, so Ash would just go and would face people with his Kabutops. Kabutops would do quite decently, but would eventually fall in the finals to the winner of the World Cup. This guy, I don't know his name, but anyway. Ash would make it back to Olivine City, ready to challenge Jasmine for her badge. As he would say, "So I'm back, ready for the badge. Is Ampharos okay?" And Jasmine would confirm this by saying, "Yes, better than ever." Now let's get into the battle. Ash would use Heracross as then. Jasmine would use Magnemite. Heracross would use Brick Break on Magnemite, as Magnemite would then use Thunder Wave. This would paralyze Heracross, as then Heracross would come in with a Megahorn, which would knock out Magnemite. After that, Jasmine would send in her Steelix, saying that this was her strongest Pokemon, saying now it was over for Heracross. Ash would then say, "We'll see about that. Heracross, use Brick Break." But Heracross would be paralyzed, as then Steelix would respond with an Earthquake, which would do a lot of damage. Heracross would then quickly regather itself and would come in with a Megahorn, which would do decent damage to Steelix. Steelix would then respond with a Dragon Breath, which would knock back Heracross. But Heracross would barely manage to get back on its 2 feet and would then charge in for a Brick Break, which would hit, but then Steelix would smash it down with an Iron Tail, knocking it out. Ash, realizing what he needed to do, would then send out Houndoom, who would then tell it to use Flame Charge, which would hit Steelix for a lot of damage, as it would raise its speed. Steelix would then respond with an Iron Tail, which would do a lot of damage to Houndoom, surprisingly, as it would have been a critical hit. Houndoom would then shake off the damage, and would then come in with a powerful flamethrower, as then Steelix would try shake it off with a sandstorm, but then the flamethrower would burn the tornado that Steelix was pinning in, which would then overwhelm Steelix and defeat it. Jasmine, impressed, would then come towards Ash and would give him the badge and would say, "You are quite strong. You are one of the strongest trainers I've faced yet. I guess that's what I can expect from a finalist in the Indigo Plateau." As then Ash would say, "Yeah. Anyway, who else has done so well in this gym?" As then Jasmine would say, "Some girl with a Meganium and some boy with a Blastoise and an Umbreon came by here, and they did quite well." As then Ash would say, "How well did they do?" Acknowledging that these were his 2 main rivals, Gary and Casey, but he would mainly be concerned about Gary. As then, Jasmine would say, the guy with the Blastoise absolutely creamed me. His Blastoise with a Hydro Pump took down Steelix in one go, which would shock Ash. As then, Ash would ask for the girl with the Meganium. She would say, her Meganium was so strong. When it activated its Overgrow ability, which would absolutely pique Ash's interest, as he was shocked that Casey would be able to awaken such an ability in Meganium. Yeah. As then, when she awakened her Overgrow, Meganium's Solar Beam absolutely destroyed Steelix too. Why'd you ask? As then Ash would say, those are people that I'm going to be facing in the Pokemon League. Just need to know. Thanks. Now it's time to go strong and defeat those two. As then Ash would leave. And that last line was a thought to himself. Okay? I've really enjoyed making this part. And I guess I'll see you guys later.